right, so when we are writing the equation of a line, okay, what I'm going to tell you is that regardless what the directions tell you, whether it's in your book or if it's on a worksheet, when we write the equation of a line, it's usually best scenario to write it in slope-intercept form, which we're familiar with. We graphed last week, and whenever we talk about slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope, b is your y-intercept. If it's in slope-intercept form, you can tell a lot about the line. Super easy to graph. And then whenever you talk about practical applications, you're going to like having it in slope-intercept form. So, like I said, regardless what the directions say, you want your answer to be in slope-intercept form. So your answers today are always going to look like this. Y equals mx plus b. So to write the equation of a line, you really need two things. Okay? If I write the equation y equals mx plus b, if you think about the equations of the lines that we were graphing, these equations, for the most part, had an x and a y, right? But there was a number here for m and there was a number here for b. Those are the two things that you need to write the equation of a line. There's two methods for writing the equation of a line. There's using just slope-intercept form, and then the method I prefer is using what's called point-slope form, which I know it looks complicated, but in my experience, I think even using point-slope form, or as a little bit more complicated as it looks, is easier than just using slope-intercept form. So this is how I'm going to teach it, okay? So point-slope form, what point-slope form says y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. What these are, okay? The y and the x right here that I have in black, that is the x and the y that you see in your equation, okay? So whenever you plug everything in, you are going to have this y and this x. Anything that you see in white, you're going to have to plug a number in for, okay? Now the m, we know what m is, right? M is going to be your slope, so that part's easy, okay? Now, this y1 and this x1, this is going to be a point. Any point that this line passes through, okay? So this point, x1 comma y1, is a point on the line, okay? So slope, or point-slope form is insanely easy to use, because you just plug in y1, m, and x1, and that's it, okay? The tricky part, not even really the tricky part, but the part that takes a little more work today is going to be taking it from point-slope form into slope-intercept form. But what I find about these problems that we're going to do today, there's going to be several steps in a lot of these, but it's going to be the same steps over and over and over and over again, okay? So let's talk about a couple different ways that we can write the equation of a line. So that first flap that you guys have there says, if you are given the slope and the y-intercept, okay, here's the thing, okay, if you need two things to write the equation of a line, if you're going to write the equation of a line in y equals mx plus b, you need the m and you need the b. The m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. If they give you the slope and the y-intercept, you just plug it in, okay? So for example, it might look something like this. It might say we have a slope of 2/3 and a y-intercept of -4. Okay, once again, you need two things to write the equation of a line. You need your m and you need your b. If they give both of those to you, just plug them in, right? The equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. So plug something in for m, plug something in for b. So the equation of this line would be y equals 2/3 x minus 4. If you wanted to say plus a -4, you wouldn't be wrong, but -4 is probably going to be more widely used. That's the easiest way to write the equation line, if they give you everything you need, okay? Unfortunately, most of the time they're not going to be quite so nice and give you absolutely everything you need. Most of the time you're going to have to work a little bit. So the next scenario is if you're given slope and a point. So it's going to say something like, write the equation of a line that has a slope of 1/2 and passes through has a slope of 1/2 and passes through the point -4, 3. This is one where you're going to have to work a little bit. So it says, okay, you can kind of picture this a little bit. It passes through the point -4, 3 and has a slope of 1/2. You could graph that pretty easily if you know a point and the slope, okay? But what I want to do is I want to write the equation of a line. I want to write the y equals mx plus b, okay? So what you're going to do here is you're going to use point slope form, okay? Using point slope form, you're going to plug in values for your y1, for your m, and for your x1, okay? Once you do that, you have written the equation of a line. Then what you have to do, this part where a little bit of the work comes from, is you want to put it into slope-intercept form, meaning you want to put it into y equals. So, let's do this one. Okay, so, point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We're going to be using this a lot today, okay? To use this, I need to plug something in for y1, for m, and for x1. They give me all of these things, okay? The 1/2 is my m, the -4 is my x1, and the 3 is my y1. To use point slope form, you just plug it all in, okay? You're going to take y minus, but instead of y1, I'm going to plug in 3. Okay, m, instead of m, I'm going to plug in 1/2. And now here's where we need to be a little careful, because my formula says to take x minus x1, but x1 is -4. So when I minus a -4, what happens there? Turns into a positive, so it's actually going to say plus 4. Okay, here's the good news. That's the equation of the line. How easy is that? You have the equation of the line, okay? Here's the thing. I want this in the form y equals mx plus b. Right now it's in y minus 3 because it's kind of some weird form, okay? So really what I need to do is I need to add 3. But here's the thing. Before I can add 3, I've got to simplify this. So and this is the part that you're going to do the same thing over and over and over again today. You're going to distribute your slope. So we're going to do y minus 3 equals, when I distribute my slope, it'll be 1/2 x. 1/2 times 4 is a plus 2. And remember, the whole goal here is to get into y equals. So to get rid of the minus 3, I would add 3 to both sides. So we'd have y equals 1/2 x plus 5. A lot of your problems will look like that today, okay? Another good chunk of your problems is they're not going to be quite so nice, and instead of giving you slope and a point, they're not going to give you the slope. They're just going to give you 2 points. They're going to say, okay, find the equation line that passes through these 2 points, okay? Here's the thing, guys. To use point slope form, you need slope, and you need a point that the line crosses through. They're going to give you 2 points that the line crosses through, but you need to find your slope. We did that last week. Remember last week whenever we found the slope by doing change in y over change in x? So if you're given 2 points, it's just kind of one extra step. Okay, you're going to find the slope, and then you're going to do the exact same thing we did over here. Okay, so for this one, let's write the equation of the line that passes through the point -3, 1 and -1, -5. Okay, to use point slope form, I need a point. They give me 2 of them, okay? But I also need slope. So the first thing you're going to have to do is find your slope. Remember from last week, slope is change in y over change in x. Remember how to do this. To find the change in y, you're going to look from one y coordinate to the next. You're going to look from 1 to -5. 1 to -5, that would be a -6. Right, going in the negative direction, 6. And then you're changing x from -3 to a -1. Okay, you're going in the positive direction this time, right? -3 to -1 would be a +2. -6 over a +2 would be -3. Remember, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x x minus x1. And to use point slope form, you need a y1, an m, and an x1. Now that I found the slope, I have all of those things. Now, for your x1 and y1, you have two choices. And it does not matter which one you use. And sometimes there's one that's easier than the other. Sometimes it really doesn't matter. This is one where I don't really think it's going to matter, so maybe we use that first point, which means I'm going to use -3 for x1, and I'm going to use 1 for y1, and we're just going to plug those numbers in. So I'm going to take y minus, instead of y1, we're going to plug in 1, equals m, we just found that, right? My slope is -3, times x, now remember we have to be really careful here because it's telling me to take x minus a -3. What happens when you minus a -3? Turns to a +3, right? Okay, here's the thing, guys. That's the equation of the line. How easy was that? Right? So cool. Okay? But now I want to put it into y equals, so there's always two steps to put it into y equals. You're going to distribute the slope first. Y minus 1 equals, leave that part the same. Distribute the -3, -3x minus 9. And then the last step to get into y equals, to get rid of the -1, we are going to add 1. So y equals -3x minus 8. There's the equation of your line. And that's as hard as they get today, guys. Those are the hardest ones that you will see today. You guys have questions on that? Okay. The last piece of information that you could be given is maybe they just give you a graph and they say, hey, here's this graph, write the equation of this line. This is almost as easy as the first one, okay? Because remember, to write the equation of a line, you need slope and you need y-intercept, okay? And here's the thing, looking at a graph, you can tell both of those things. Because remember, the whole goal here is to write the equation in the form y equals mx plus b. Looking at a graph, I should be able to tell the slope, and I should be able to tell the y-intercept. So if I look at this example here, okay, remember what I'm trying to do is y equals mx plus b. For your final answer, you need your slope and you need your y-intercept. You don't have to use point slope form unless you have to, and I don't have to do that here because looking at my graph, I should be able to tell my slope. Okay, remember slope is rise over run. So on your graph, if you were to start at this point and get to this point, how far would you have to rise? You'd go down, how many? You would go down 3. So the rise is -3. And how far would you run? 4, right? 4. So your slope is -3/4. Now for the y-intercept, this should also be easy to find because you can see it, right? The y-intercept. Where does this line cross the y-axis? 3, right? Right there, you can see it. So if you know your slope and you know your y-intercept, just plug those numbers in. Y equals -3/4 x plus 3. There you go. Okay, let's get this glued into your notebook. We'll have this, and then one more section, and then we'll be done with this review section here. Okay, so 41, this is section 5.4, and we are writing the equation of a line. All right, so once again, I mentioned this already, but regardless what the directions say on your homework or anywhere, it's best, we want to write our answers in slope-intercept form. So even if whenever you guys get your worksheet, I guess the worksheet today doesn't say that, but maybe on Wednesday, anyway, we want to write our answer in slope-intercept form. That's the best way to write your answer. So let's start here with an easy one. Number 1, let's say we want to write the equation of a line that has a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of 3. A slope of 4, a y-intercept of 3. Remember, the end goal here is to write the equation of a line that says y equals mx plus b. You don't have to use point slope form, don't use point slope form. I don't need to use point slope form. Because to write the equation of a line, I need an M and I need a B. They give me an M, they give me a B. This one's super easy. Just do y equals 4x plus 3. That's it. That's all you have to do for that one. If they give both of them to you, just plug them in. Unfortunately, most of them are not that easy. Okay? So let's say we have one that we want to write the equation, line that has a slope of negative 1/4 and passes through, I'm going to abbreviate there and just say PT, passes through the point negative 4, 1. Now, unless they give you the slope and y-intercept, or you can get the slope and y-intercept by looking at the graph, you're going to have to use point-slope form. So most of the time, you're going to have to use point-slope form. So remember, point-slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. You are going to have that memorized for Friday. So I think the best way to memorize something is write it down, write it down, write it down, write it down. Okay? So to use point-slope form, you need something for y1, for m, and for x1. In this case, they give me all of these things. My negative 1/4 is my m. My negative 4 is the x1. The 1 is my y1. So for this one, you just plug all those numbers in. So we're going to do y minus. Instead of y1, we're going to plug in 1. Equals, my m is negative 1/4. And then, we've talked about this, okay, it's going to be x minus a negative 4. Minus a negative 4 is going to turn to a plus 4. You have wrote the equation of a line. Congratulations! But we want to put it into y equals. So there's always 2 steps. Okay, first thing, distribute your slope. So leave the y minus 1 the same. When I distribute my slope, negative 1/4 times x, that's just going to give me negative 1/4 x. Now negative 1/4 times 4, a negative times a positive, is going to be negative. A fourth of 4 is 1, right? And then to get it into y equals, we're going to add 1 to both sides. So we have y equals negative 1/4 x, and then negative 1 plus 1 just gives you 0. Yeah, so we'll just leave it as y equals negative 1/4 x. This would be a line that goes through the origin. Okay, let's try another one kind of like that. Number 3, let's write the equation of a line that has a slope of 0 and passes through 6, negative 2. Okay, we're going to have to use point-slope form. So use point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. To use point-slope form, you have to have your y1, your m, and your x1. And they give me all of those. I have my m, which is my slope. I have 6 for my x1. I have negative 2 for my y1. So use point-slope form. Just plug the numbers in. So the first one's going to be y minus negative 2. Minus a negative 2. This time, my y-coordinate is going to be a plus 2. Equals, my slope is 0 times x minus, and x1 is going to be 6. Okay, that's your equation of the line. Okay? What I need to do now is I need to put it into slope-intercept form, into y equals. So 2 steps. First thing we're going to distribute. So the y plus 2 stays the same. Okay, here's the thing. When you distribute the 0, 0 times x, just 0. 0 times negative 6, just 0. What are you going to get on the right-hand side? Just 0. Yeah. So to put it into y equals, we subtract 2. We have y equals negative 2. Now let me ask you something. What does a y-only line look like? Y-only, yeah. And that is 0 slope. Oh my gosh. It all makes sense. It all connects. Isn't that amazing? Okay, number 4. Let's say we have the slope of 1/2. And it passes through negative 4, 3. right, so to use point slope form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, remember, we need a y1, an m, and an x1, which, like the last handful, they give me all of these. So we're going to do y minus x. So it'd be y minus 3. And then m is 1/2. And then it's going to be x. What's going to follow the x? Good. It's going to be a plus 4, right? Because it's a minus a negative 4. Okay, you've written the equation of a line. So then to put it into y equals, distribute your slope. Y minus 3 equals. And then we're going to do 1/2 x. 1/2 times 4, half of 4 would just be 2. And then the last step, to get rid of the minus 3, we would add 3 to both sides. So y equals 1/2 x plus 5. All right, let's take it one step further. Let's try. Okay, number 5. Let's do positive 1. 1, comma, negative 6, negative 3, comma, 10. 1, comma, negative 6, 3, comma, negative 10. So this one, what I want to do is I want to write the equation line that passes through these 2 points. The idea is still the same. To write the equation of a line, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. It's the same thing as the last ones, but remember, I need a y1, an m, and an x1. The y1 and x1 are just a point that it passes through. They give me 2 of them, but I also need the slope, and this time they don't give me the slope. Okay, luckily, slope is pretty easy to find. Remember, to find slope, we do change in y over change in x. Okay, so the change in y, this is a huge jump here from negative 6 to a positive 10, right? Anytime you go from the negative to a positive, especially if it's like this huge jump, you might take a pit stop at 0. So negative 6 to 0, 0 to 10. What's that change? 16! Huge jump there. And then your change in x, 1 to negative 3. If you take a pit stop at 0, you can. 1 to 0, 0 to negative 3. What's that change? Negative 4, going in the negative direction. So 16 over negative 4 would be negative 4. So my slope is negative 4. Now, once you find the slope, this is the exact same thing as the last one. Okay? What you get to do, though, is you get to choose which one of these you want to plug in for x1 or y1. For this one, I might choose the first point just because the numbers are a little bit smaller, but you would get the exact same answer if you chose the second point. So I'm going to use 1 for x1 and negative 6 for y1. So we're going to do y minus a negative 6, which would turn into a plus 6, equals my m, okay, we just found that, it's negative 4, times x minus an x1 is going to be 1. All right, so you've written the equation of a line. Remember, there's 2 more steps. We need to distribute the slope. Y plus 6 equals, this is going to be negative 4x. Negative 4 times a negative 1 is going to be a positive 4. And then lastly, get rid of that other number. So we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. So we have y equals negative 4x minus 2. Okay, let's do one more, and then I'll let you guys get started on your homework. Okay, same type of problem. Let's say we want to write the equation of a line that passes through the points negative 2, comma, negative 2, and negative 6, comma, negative 4. Okay, remember, we're going to use point slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I need a y1, an m, and an x1. I have the x1, y1. I actually have two x1 and two y1s. But I need my slope. How do we find slope? Very good. Change in y over change in x. Okay, now be really careful on these ones. Your change in y, the y coordinates are -2 to -4. What's the change from -2 to -4? You're going the backwards direction, -2. And then you're changing x from -2 to -6. And also going in the backwards direction, -4. Okay, first thing, guys, your slope always should be in simplest form. So there's kind of two parts to this. First of all, a negative over a negative is what kind of answer? A positive. And then what would 2 over 4 be if I reduce that? 1/2. Very good. Okay, which point do you want to use? Any preferences? Do you want to pick one, first one, second one? Yeah, I'd probably use the first one because it's the same number, right? But you would get the same answer as if you use -6, -4. Now be careful on both of these because when I do y minus a -2, it's actually going to turn to a +2. Equals, my slope is 1/2. And then we're going to do x minus a -2, which is going to be a +2. Okay, to put it into slope-intercept form, what's my next step? Distribute the 1/2, so y plus 2 equals, that's going to give you 1/2 x, 1/2 times 2, half of 2 would give you a +1, and then lastly, good, subtract 2 from both sides, so y equals 1/2 x minus 1.